Hello, this is Eileen, the environmental educator, and in this video we are going to talk about money, big money, because apparently right now the U.S. owes 80 trillion in climate reparations. This is a Grist article. This has made big news over the last couple of days. This is June 6, 2023. I'm recording this the evening of June 6th. And here's the author and an environmental justice fellow. This is all about environmental justice. We no longer care about solutions. Okay, it's all about justice. So right here, here's a Guardian article. This is June 5th, 2023. And the headline, rich countries with high greenhouse gas emissions could pay 170 trillion in climate reparations. So, okay. And right here, rich countries like the U.S., U.K., and Germany, they owe a staggering amount. A study found. Okay, so again, this is June 6, 2023, and Scientific American, June 6, 2023. Rich nations owe 192 trillion. New analysis finds. So that's a lot of money. So right here, CBS, the U.S. has caused 2 trillion of climate harm to poorer nations. July 13th, 2022. So the propaganda was putting that out there even a year ago. Polluters can no longer hide from their crimes. So they're going after the fossil fuel companies too. They owe 5.4 trillion. This was May 22nd, 2023. This is a Guardian article. Yeah, for fossil fuels, $209 billion a year for those companies. And this was May 19th, 2023 article right here. Nina, she was an author on one of the other articles, but right here, climate justice reporter. They don't have any climate solution reporters. Climate justice. This is all about justice. So again, Mother Jones, pretty much that same Guardian article. And yeah, a peer-reviewed paper proposes that the top 21 polluting companies pay 5.4 trillion over 26 years for compensation for climate damages. And so what are reparations? Well, right here, this is dictionary.com, and reparation, the making of amends for wrong or injury done. Usually reparations, compensation in money, material labor, etc., payable by a defeated country to another country or an individual for loss suffered during or as a result of war. Okay. Monetary or other compensation payable by a country to an individual for a historical wrong, restoration to a good condition, repair. So we could do the bottom too. We could just restore to a good condition, and we could just repair what we've done if only the powers that are, behind this climate reparation and money, because all of these big funds, people say become slush funds, that all of the people who think that these funds should be implemented have their hands on. And then there's no accounting of the money. Accounted for? Well, we don't like that part of it. But right here, we could make amends simply with solutions. But these solutions have been refused since November 93. They would have already solved our problems. If you've been around here before, I talked a lot about that. And, but, even the United Nations, who's out having a conference about reparations, they have refused solutions since the 90s. Okay. And they still do. But right here, let's just take a look at this. So right here, new research from the University of Leeds says that the United States, countries like the United States and those in Europe, could be on the hook for an eye-popping 170 trillion in climate reparation for their excessive carbon emissions. Carbon emissions, which are not illegal, which nobody has ever mandated the stop of, now suddenly are going to be a huge financial situation. And of course, right here, the study found that the U.S. would be responsible for the largest share, 80 trillion, for its excess emissions, which would be paid out to historically low emitters like India and China. China is a low emitter? That's not the news I've been hearing. As well as regions like Saharan Africa. The oversized carbon footprint of wealthier nations has been an ongoing roadblock in the race to cut emissions and curb the worst impacts of climate change. So researchers sought to quantify how much excess emissions would cost and use the existing framework from the IPCC to price out the difference in emissions. Okay. So, yeah, right there at COP27, which was last year's UN big meeting, they're having their COP28. Okay, 28 years later, and the UN's been refusing solutions since the 90s. So all the time they've been having all these COP meetings for solutions, they've been preventing the solutions that would have it so that we don't have these meetings anymore. We wouldn't be talking about this headline, okay? And this wouldn't be a topic. But they're going to have their COP28 in the fall, right, in the United Arab Emirates. Okay, so people have been talking about that too because, okay, that's a perfect place to go talk about greenhouse gas emissions, you know. But um, the UN, they are just right here in the COP27. They I guess, you know, were active in their fight to get wealthy nations to pay climate reparations. Now, you know, does the UN not know? Because it seems that the entire world, except for Americans, understand that America is in currency collapsing debt. America is like 32, 33 trillion in currency collapsing debt. So right here, here's the U.S. debt clock, almost 32. 31 trillion, 832 billion, 217 million, and it goes up a million like every 40 seconds, maybe something like that. That was headlines about a week ago. So the United States is the poorest country in the world. The United States is not a rich country. It's just the bottom hasn't fallen out, so Americans don't have a clue. But America doesn't have 80 trillion. Okay. And right, it's very sad because if America had just cleaned up their act a long time ago, none of this would be a discussion. But now it is because, you know, this is what all of the government entities like to do. And right here it says that the idea of climate reparations has become more popular at international climate negotiations as global south countries continue to struggle with devastating impacts in major polluters like the US and fall short of their climate goals. So, at the core of loss and damage, it's just acknowledging and recognizing that climate change is a cumulative problem where historical responsibility needs to be taken into account. So, I guess all the money we've been paying all of the American and all African countries. I mean, how much does America give out to the world every year? They couldn't have used that money to pay for any damage that the United States might have done. I believe the United States has been very generous in a country that is in currency collapsing debt. But that doesn't matter to the powers that are. You know, when they have their agenda, they're just going to be at it, and then they pay all of these people. Here's that same Nina. Now, she doesn't have environmental justice reporter here, but That's her byline elsewhere. And right here, rich industrialized countries responsible for excessive levels of greenhouse gas emissions could be liable for 170 trillion by 2050. Okay. Okay. So this is just absolute, just ridiculousness. It is proposed compensation would be paid to developing countries that must transition away from fossil fuels. Okay, I'm pretty sure the developing countries aren't even really on fossil fuels. They don't even really have fuels. So, they can transition themselves. They're a developing country. How much money is China putting into all of these African countries and South American countries right now? Yeah, they're doing just fine. Maybe it's somebody else's time to spread their wealth around the world, because America has spread their wealth around to the point where we are the poorest country in the history of the world and the biggest debt ever. But Jason Hickel, the co-author and professor at the Institute of Environmental Science and Technology at the Autonomous University in Barcelona, says a responsibility for excess emissions is largely held by the wealthy classes within nations who have very high consumption and who yield disproportionate power over production and national policy. They are the ones who must bear the costs of this compensation. So that would be you. You're the wealthy class in terms of global to the people in Africa, to the people in South America. You're the wealthy class. It's your responsibility to pay this $170 trillion. So yeah, a lot of articles about this, and then now the fossil fuel industry, they definitely owe. Now, it couldn't be that humans demand fossil fuels, okay? These companies only get what humans demand, okay? And nobody owes, okay? So, but right here, One Earth, there were another person who came up with, reparation amounts here, and yeah, the climate justice reporter. Oh my God, how ridiculous. But right here, they say BP, Shell, ExxonMobil, a Total, Saudi Arabia's state owned oil company, and Chevron are amongst the largest 21 polluters responsible for 5.4 trillion in drought, wildfires, sea level rise, and melting glaciers, among other climate catastrophes expected between 2025 and 2050, according to groundbreaking analysis, Journal One Earth. Okay, so this is all on projections and expectation, not of what has actually happened. And so now, does this mean that people's insurance costs aren't going to be, bearing the burden of the cost of all of these deadly storms that come through and take out big parts of states, and then insurance companies are on the hook? I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But right here, that they love their charts and graphs and whatnot. And here's the oil companies and what they're estimated to owe. There's their total reparations. This is their emissions. This is their reparations. Okay. Okay. And this report says that polluters can no longer hide from their crimes against humanity and nature. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, but the UN is going to, have their 28th summit, and they are going to still not allow solutions like they haven't for the past 27 of their, oh my God, we need environmental solution summits, to the point where now, since they haven't allowed solutions, they are telling you rich people that you are responsible for, yeah, hundreds of trillions of dollars. So get your checkbooks out, people, and stay tuned.